It's time for the summer season finale here of high school football. As next time we see you, it'll be the season of autumn here. But right now we are at John Broughton Field in Pendleton, Indiana for some HHC football action as the Dragons of New Palestine, the top team in Class 4A, get set to take on the Pendleton Heights Arabians. Alongside Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling with you. Before we go any further, tonight's game is presented in part by Smokin' Barrel Barbecue. They are not new to the game, but their restaurant inside Camp Sertoma is, and stop by and check them out at 2316 South German Church Road, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, or online at smokin'-barrel-bbq.com. Once again, Kurt Darling and Joe Polizzi here with you at John Broughton Field. Coach, good to be here with you tonight here as we have two teams looking to just keep forging their way through conference play. At New Palestine coming off of a convincing win over Mount Vernon just a week ago. Meanwhile, Pendleton Heights going to try and bounce back tonight from being shut out against Greenfield Central last week.
Well, thanks, Kurt, for that intro. It's just a gorgeous night. It's a pleasure to be here. There's always some surprises when these two teams get together. New Pal has certainly got a head of steam going. Pendleton Heights with great tradition and the way they play the game and the way they're coached. I just expect to see a great football game on a gorgeous night. And are you serious? Summer's over?
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God. No.
Yes, it is.
That's hard to believe, but the best time of the year is coming up right in front of us.
Last high school football game of the season of summer. Then again, of course, you would know better than anyone that football is a fall sport anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. It'll be once the autumnal solstice takes place, that's when the real games begin. But this will be fun tonight. We're expected to see some, as I said before, some surprises. We got a very, very spirited Pendleton Heights team coming out here, ready to take the field.
And so Pendleton Heights, they are 2-2 coming into this contest. They were victors against Newcastle back on September 2nd. That was a 35-0 shutout, but then they get shut out 35-0 themselves by a very good and up-and-coming Greenfield Central team. So needless to say, trying to get a bounce-back win, but still at the same time, when you're playing the New Palestine Dragons, it's a whole different ball game regardless of what class they're playing in.
It really is. And these coaches have been around long enough to know that if you're going to play with a team as powerful as New Pal, you've got to find ways to create momentum. It's all about the momentum-changing plays in the game. You don't want to give them any opportunities via turnover, but you've got to create some turnovers, and that's something that they don't really do quite a bit of. And you got to have the ability to strike quick because if you play their game, if you play New Pal's game, they're going to ground you into the dirt and make short work of you. So I'm sure the Pendleton Heights staff has spent a lot of time this week on trying to get some things where they can strike quick with momentum, yet play safe and still be able to control the clock.
And you saw Grayson Thomas right there. He is going to be the big dynamo back that you will see a lot of tonight for New Palestine. 75 carries, 643 yards. He is actually the only player in New Palestine history to actually have rushed for 1,000 yards in his freshman and sophomore seasons. He's only a junior this year.
That's amazing. They always have good backs. But the thing that I'm not surprised with is when you told me the first time when I stepped in the press box today that they have at least 4 to 6 offensive, defensive linemen that are college prospects. I don't know what they do here in New Pal, but they certainly know how to raise the big ones. It's certainly they have a great strength program, and that's something that Coach works on tirelessly. And it's just a well-disciplined, hard-working, offensive and defensive team that certainly know how to block you.
And you see one of the captains there for New Pal is Thomas Wood, number 55. He'll be playing right guard, standing at 284, 6'2". But on the outsides of him there, you have Luke Burgess playing left tackle. He's going to the University of Louisville next year. Meanwhile, on the right tackle, you have Ian Moore, only a junior, hasn't committed to college yet, but he has just as high caliber D1 offers coming his way as well. Meanwhile, for Pendleton Heights, though, they still have some weapons of their own as well. Isaac Wilson going to be the starting quarterback tonight. Of course, he was kind of in a battle for the quarterback spot with Tice Tomey during the offseason, but Tomey unfortunately left camp with an injury, so Isaac Wilson is the starter, but also you have a back and forth between Colton Frank as well. So you're going to be seeing a lot of different pieces both in the offensive backfield tonight for Pendleton.
And we've seen the quarterback for Pendleton before, and Heights has got a guy that can make things happen. So he's going to surprise some people with what he can do tonight. New Pal has been a team that can hurt you both on the ground and in the air, and those are the toughest to defend. Now, is that the most logical point that you have heard yet tonight?
Sounds about right.
It's tough to stop a team that can run hard on you and be physical and then still go up on top and get the big, quick score. But that's going to be the key for Heights.
So Pendleton Heights going to be kicking away now. On the return will be Daniel Thacker for New Pal. Final game of the month of the season of summer. We're underway here in Pendleton, Indiana. And Thacker is just going to let that content to into the end zone for a touchback. So the New Palestine Dragons going to be starting on their own 25-yard line to get things going right here. And onto the field will be the offensive unit of New Pal, led by Daniel Tippett, the transfer from Warren Central. Believe it or not, standing 5'9", weighing 146 pounds, but he's as good as any quarterback in the state right now.
I'm excited to see him out here. That was a well-placed kick. They did a nice job with that. No return. Little hesitation in the D-back trying to get a piece of that one, but they did a super job of placing that ball and starting with good field position defensively.
You also have Isaiah Thacker and Kyler Kropp starting at the two wideouts on the near side of the field. But the first give is to Grayson Thomas. And in spite of gaining a few yards on that one, well defended by Pendleton.
Yeah, when a team can spread you out like that with two wideouts on both sides, they just stretch you to the point that you have to cover everybody, and you have to double cover at some point. But when they can block you up front with a spread front, it's difficult. Very, very difficult.
So 2nd down and 5. Again, the give is to Thomas, and he is corralled right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. So far, so good for the Pendleton Heights defense.
Nice play, defensive tackle 72, squeezed down, made the play. I'm sure that the next time they run that, the quarterback will pull it and keep running with it. But they've got him in a nice down and distance situation here, 3rd and medium to start this football game off.
Siddiqui Traore on the tackle there, his 20th of the season. He also has 3.5 sacks for this unit. There's a quick out to Kropp. He shoves the defender down, but there is a plethora of green shirts right there to back him up. And just like that, Pendleton Heights might be forcing New Pal 3 and out here. We'll see what Coach Ralph decides to do. He is not afraid to go for it on 4th and short, as he's illustrated before, but it looks like the punting unit's going to come out here for New Pal.
Well, you got it. We talked about momentum, and right now, a 3 and out to start this game is going to provide some great momentum for Pendleton Heights. Great job on the defense. They ran to the football so well. It was blocked pretty well out here, perimeter screen, but they got to the point, and very, very sure tackling.
So Daniel Tippett's going to go with the fake, going to try and get it out to Thacker. He makes the catch, gets out to the midfield. It's the 50 down inside to the 45-yard line. Some trickery right there from Daniel Tippett, who is the regular punter for New Pal. And that's good for a 1st down to keep the drive alive.
I didn't feel right. When they sent that in, I didn't quite feel like they actually really wanted to punt that ball. Nice job. That's a coach with some great confidence, a team that plays with arrogance, and all that momentum we talked about for Heights has just gone down the tubes.
That's Kyle Ralph in his 10th season as the head coach of New Pal. 108 wins to 10 losses in that time span, but still, Pendleton Heights not going quietly just yet. Eli Arthur getting his 4th sack of the season right there.
Well, they wanted to go up on top with a quick fade, and that's a great call. Once you beat them on a 4th and whatever second that was, now you got a chance to go up on top and go for the throat. Well covered, man coverage all the way. QB had to pull it down, and they got great pressure up front. Got to be happy with the way Heights is playing defense right now.
Heights is certainly coming out swinging here on New Pal. Tippett with the handoff to Thomas, and again, no holes anywhere for him to run up the gut. Only gains maybe a yard.
It's going to be tough going in there. That's what they're proving right now. They're playing their gaps so tough up front. There's going to be nothing on the inside, and like I said, there's going to be some surprises in this game, and maybe we're seeing them right now.
So another 3rd and long situation here for New Pal. Ball sitting right at the 47-yard line. Tippett with time to throw, pocket collapsing, tries to turn the corner, fires over the middle, And incomplete, looking for Nunnally. And again, another fourth down forced here by Pendleton Heights.
Beautiful job defensively, jumping routes, causing nothing to happen. They wanted to go deep. They wanted to throw the post. He had to pull it down and scramble. They did a very good job of staying in their zones, breaking on the throw. And we'll see what they have in mind here now. They're just going to line up and run a play.
This is another instance where Kyle Ralph will go for it. He is not afraid. And now a timeout going to be called. And Pendleton Heights is going to think things over here as they were expecting a punt, but didn't quite have the personnel on the field to negate a possible fourth down play here from New Pal.
Now, I haven't seen the stats, and I'm sure you know this. Have they punted all year?
They have only punted once all year long, and it was only a 24-yard punt.
Okay, so they don't like the punt.
They will only punt when the situation desperately calls for it. Yeah. Other than that, New Pal, but that's the thing, New Pal has been in multiple situations where they haven't had to punt because more often than not, they're able to work the ball down the field and get it into the end zone or at least put it through the uprights.
Well, to start this series with a fake punt with 4th and 2 in their own, inside their own 30, now that took some courage. And now they got a little more breathing room, but it's still not a piece of cake at 4th down and 8.
Again, you saw head coach Kyle Ralph talking up his offense there for New Pal. So here we go now, a big 4th down and 8. And New Pal showing no fear at the moment. Oh, and they nearly force Pendleton Heights off sides, and it looks like they're going to get him.
Don't help them. Now, this is what we're talking about. 4th and 8, yes. Now 4th and 3, and that's just like a regular down.
So that's
New Pal.
That's Eli Arthur giving Pendleton Heights free 5 yards right there.
He tried to time that up. He was coming from the corner, and he had nasty intentions, but ended up making this an easier short yardage situation for New Pal, the Dragons.
So now they only have 3 men down, dude. Do the Arabians. 2 backs in the backfield here with Tippett. Snap, handoff to Kropp. He is upended in the backfield, and it is a turnover on downs by the Pendleton Heights Arabians. What a start by this defensive unit here. Siddiqui Traore in there on the initial tackle.
He's been in on 5 out of the 6 defensive plays that the Pendleton Heights has had a chance. He is playing some football. Something has got him motivated tonight. This is the surprise we're talking about. Now, capitalize on this momentum. Go up top and try to make something happen.
So Isaac Wilson, the junior quarterback, getting the start tonight for the Arabians. In the backfield hit with him is DeVault. He gets the initial hit, and he goes nowhere with it, maybe getting back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Minus yards. I don't think they got to the line of scrimmage, did they? Maybe they did. Yeah, that's going to be a tough D line to run against. Look at those guys. Big, strong, tough.
John Raines, Ben Percival, and Michael Thacker, all tough players tonight. Of course, Michael Thacker, the big name on that front line right there. 26 tackles, 5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss this season.
Yeah, they just have a patent on big kids that can run and strong and physical. They do such a great job with their strength and conditioning here.
Reddington in motion.
Yeah.
Wilson has to get out of the pocket, loses the football. It might be a forward pass. We'll see. No, they're going to say that's a live ball. And Wilson just got collapsed on big time like rocks just falling down an embankment right there, and a big negative play here for the offense.
Yeah, they're going to have to throw quick. They're going to have to throw the screens. I think their drop-back game is going to be a non-factor tonight, as we've seen. They're big, strong, physical, and there's such a mismatch up front. They've got to do some other things to get to the flanks. They've got to get that team running east and west, tire them out.
Wilson has fumbled the ball twice so far this season. Man in motion. Wilson feeling the pressure again, and again is just sacked by that big defensive line from New Pal. They are overpowering the offensive line of Pendleton Heights.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a chance to even get the laces on the football. As soon as he gets a snap, he is under direct heat, and that's something you have to work on. Now, you can do some things. You can trap them, you can screen them, and you can quick throw them, but you're not going to drop back and try to throw the intermediate routes.
So Beeler's on to punt the ball away here for Pendleton Heights. And it's nearly blocked, but gets a really good leg into this one, and it takes an Arabian's bounce into the arms of Thacker. He has some running room, gets away from Trout, and finally back to the 40-yard line. So Isaiah Thacker making something out of nothing right there, which was a beautiful punt by Justin Beeler, but Thacker once again giving the Dragons some good field position here.
He did a nice job, broke a tackle, and once he got to the flank there on the outside, there was really no containment, which cost him almost 25 yards now. We're talking about keeping momentum. We're talking about putting the pressure on New Pal. Those are things you have to do, and that would have been a big key right there, just to corral them, keep them inside the defense, and run to the ball.
Had Thacker let that punt roll, that would have been a new season long for Justin Beeler punting the football.
Well, he did his job. He did a nice job. The coverage kind of hurt him. Here's that screen again.
So here's Tippett out to Thacker. Has a little bit of room and finally is across midfield for the first down that's not on a fake punt of the game.
They got a nice offense. You could tell they have they've got all the weapons in the tool kit. That was kind of a mixed metaphor, but they've got them all ready to go. They can run it. They can pound you. They can have quarterback runs. Quarterback's got such a nice, quick release, and they like that perimeter screen, which has always been good for New Pal.
Tippett back to throw again. Quick out to Crop. Another first down. Sheds some tackles. Even more tackles. Gets down inside the 30. They'll spot him out at the 26-yard line.
They had trips on the top of the formation, and they're going to make you cover them. If you don't, they're going to throw the quick out there, and you see what happens. He breaks a couple tackles, and it's a big play.
You talk about this team having so many weapons, and, you know, when you're talking about New Pal, you usually think of players, former players like Charlie Spiegel or Lincoln Roth, other players that were just so good for this team. This is probably the most complete New Pal team I think I have ever seen, as you see Crop over the middle into the end zone, and that's Blaine Nunnally on the reception from Daniel Tippett for the Dragon touchdown.
Beautiful job. They saw how they covered trips on that last formation and knew they had the post on the backside, and beautiful job. Nice protection. Quarterback laid it just where he needed to, and the defense helped a lot by keeping somebody out of center field.
And so that is the second touchdown today for, or rather the second touchdown of the season for Blaine Nunnally, as Brendan Tanksley on to kick the extra point. He's only missed one of those all season long, and he keeps it going right there. 7-0 early here for New Pal after, needless to say, they got punched in the mouth early defensively by Pendleton Heights. But Coach Ralph making a few adjustments, and Blaine Nunnally in double coverage makes that catch.
Yeah, they that's a great staff. They do a super job over there, and their game plan was, let's see if we can pound them at first, and if we can't, there are reasons, and that's what they're going to give us some things in the secondary, and they found those quick and easy. Now it's Pendleton's turn to answer this now. They have had opportunities here to get the momentum that we've talked about and keep them in this football game. Now they got to do something with their offense and try to make some things happen. And as we talked about before, it's going to be the quick game passing. It's going to be screens. You got to trap because those big D linemen are coming through before he can really get his hands on that football and the shotgun snap. A big return here. Wake up this crowd.
So if you're head coach Jed Richmond of Pendleton Heights, certainly talking up your offense while the defense was out there on the field. Jed Richmond, in his 7th season as the head coach of Pendleton, has had a monumental task of slowly but surely rebuilding this Pendleton Heights program in those 7 years.
Well, this is a great measuring stick for them. Can we hang with them? Can we score on them? Can we play the game nose to nose with the Dragons?
A short kick here from Tanksley. And here on the return is Clint Myler. And Myler tries to find a hole, keeps his feet under him just for a little while, and gets it out to the 21-yard line. So once again, the Pendleton Heights offense going to try and certainly make some adjustments here to try and give some space to quarterback Isaac Wilson.
You know, they'd be smart if they did some things as Pendleton, as the Dragons did with their offense. Now try some outside screens. You tried to touch that middle, and it's not there. There's a nice.
And a quick out, but splits right between the receivers there. Did Wilson. He was looking for Nate Duroff as well as Reese Reddington. And that falls incomplete, but that's the right idea. Just get the ball out of your hand early.
Exactly. Throw it quick, hit an open guy. You got trips over there. There's plenty of room, plenty of space on the field from that hash mark to get a nice, easy completion and just start that momentum, that avalanche going.
Isaac Wilson, the quarterback, was a wide receiver last year. Now coming into his own as a quarterback as he gives the quarterback keeper right there. And finally, the first positive play on offense for Pendleton Heights right there goes for a solid 5-yard gain out to the 32-yard line.
Beautiful job. You can see the adjustments they made offensively. We're going to try to throw quick. We're going to try to get the quarterback on the run with some misdirection. Those are the things you have to do when you find out after that first series that these guys are tough to block. We better come up with something else.
Isaac Wilson, his 31st carry of the season right there, had 81 rushing yards all year coming into this contest. Low snap for Wilson. Rolling to his left. Has his receiver. Did he make the catch? Yes, he did. And that's good for an Arabian first down. And that's Nick DeRolf again on the reception.
Got a job by the QB. He got out of there. He had to put some scrambling. I think initially they wanted to go deep, but they were covered so well deep. He checked it down, threw the ball in a nice, tight window, and they're off and running here.
10th catch of the year there for DeRolf. And now he's the motion receiver. Handoff now again to DeVault. He tries to just pummel his way up the middle, and that's good for a few yards.
And he did just that, didn't he?
That's all you really can do against this front line of New Pal.
He pummeled his way through, and that was like a 3-yard gain. That's not bad. You can't just let him pass rush. You got to pound him a little bit, and that was a nice purpose play right there.
Eli Arthur into the backfield now for the Arabians. Wilson gonna roll to his right, has to get rid of it, floats it, and no one in sight as he puts it out of play. And a flag on the play here, right at about the 45-yard line.
They just sent 2 receivers deep. Is this an eligible downfield? Sent 2 receivers deep. He had to scramble opposite his throwing hand, which is always difficult.
So it looks like it's
there.
against Pendleton Heights here. They're asking Coach Kyle Ralph if he wants to accept or decline this penalty. Sitting 2nd down and 7 at the moment. And so it is indeed an ineligible man downfield on Pendleton Heights. They're actually going to decline the penalty, so they're going to take the down instead of the yardage. And so that makes it 3rd down and 7 here. Ball stays at the 43.
Well, true to form, they're making all the calls that a coach with confidence and a staff that has just a total belief in what they've got on their team. They're making those type decisions.
Here's Wilson. This time has some time over the middle. Oh, tries to get Myler, but he is well covered there in the defensive backfield for New Pal.
Nice route, nice intent. It's so difficult, especially on the high school level, when you're on the far hash and you're trying to throw the out across your body, left-handed quarterback. It's such a difficult throw. And it was just out of his reach. That would have been enough for the first down. It's just that those inches that cost the team, and now you're giving it back to what could be the most powerful offense in the state.
Baylor Hurst now. Pendleton going with a fake,
huh?
Trying to find it over the middle that time again. It's incomplete. Nolan Souders was the intended receiver, so that's a turnover on downs, and Pendleton Heights kind of going, hey, we can try and do it too, but again, Pendleton New Pal was well ready for that one.
Mason Hyatt, he played the position perfectly. They were hoping to keep somebody asleep, which was a nice idea. You hate to not make it. You hoping that they're going to fall asleep, but they're so well coached. They probably saw that 4 or 5 times on Wednesday in practice, and they said, okay, we're ready for it. So now they've got the field position and they've got the momentum. And let's just see if we can stack up defensively.
So again, good field position for New Pal. Thomas on the give. And nearly squeaks his way through the defensive line of Pendleton, but falls forward for a solid gain of about 7.
Yeah, watch that white wave. Watch them come off the football. They block it so well, and they stay so low, and they're so powerful. It's going to be tough to hold down this running game, as physical as they are.
Tippett making a few adjustments. Fakes the handoff, feeling the pressure, but a good option pass out there to Kropp. And he gets across the first down marker and a few extra yards as well, down to the 25.
I think he turned the wrong way initially. The quarterback, or the back went the wrong way. They wanted to do a little run-pass option. Definitely got some play out of it.
Almost looked like a little insurance policy right there for Kropp on the pitch.
I still like the way they're running the football. Heights, playing with some spunk.
Tippett to pass again, feeling the
It's your
heat.
post.
Looking into the end zone again. Thacker with a heck of a grab. And it's another touchdown for New Pal.
Wow. Wow, that was covered so well. The quarterback threw him open. That's a prime example of throwing him open. The defense had that post covered. You know they talked about it on the sidelines, so he threw it just a little bit behind him. Great throw.
And again, the pocket was
Super
collapsing big time.
Great adjustment to make that play. If he had ran the regular post, it would have been defended. But the quarterback didn't let him do it. Threw the ball where it needed to be. Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Meanwhile, we have an injured New Pal player down on the field right now. Can't quite see which player it is at the moment. One of the members of the offensive line. And there you see Coach Kyle Ralph out there along with the New Pal training staff tending to his player. We take a look at the replay here. Again, just a beautiful throw by Tippett.
You see that corner felt like, hey, you throw this ball where you want, where you need to, and I'm going to pick it. But the quarterback had a different idea. Beautiful job with that ball.
Ooh, and that's Ian Moore. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Ian Moore, one of the Division I caliber left tackles for New Pal, and he has to be helped off the field right now.
Yeah, stepping very gingerly on that right foot.
And that is certainly a big loss on that front line there for New Pal. And so that will elevate Brock Brownfield up to the left tackle spot for the time being.
Hate to see this. You hate to see it. Hate to lose anybody, especially this time of the season with such promise. But that just goes to show it's physical up in that front seven. It is physical.
So Brendan Tanksley again on for another PAT. He is so far 1 for 1 tonight. 21 of 22 on the year. Make it 22 of 23 as he makes it 14-0 here in the early going as New Pal, they're having to fight for every point so far against this Pendleton Heights defense, but still, if you're a Pendleton Heights fan, it's pretty much business as usual so far.
Well, you know, as a coach, you're probably thinking, why did I try to fake it? It wasn't necessary. I might have jumped the gun on that, and at least we were punting well. At least put them down there and make them drive the length of the field. They took advantage of that sudden change, we'll call it, and went right up top and got beautiful execution, wonderful adjustment to the football, and on a play that was well covered. But they have they're a team that you can tell they've been throwing that route all summer long. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and it's just fun to watch a team that is so precise as New Pal is right now. Well coached.
And so New Pal back in Class 4A this year. There you see Jed Richmond in his 7th season as the Pendleton Heights head coach. Of course, Coach Jed Richmond, he's had a lot to deal with in not only building this program, but also his wife has been dealing with symptoms of long COVID ever since the pandemic. And that has certainly been an uphill battle for him off of the field as well. But he says his teams rallied around him and kept him going.
Well, this is a key drive right now. If you want to stay in this game, you got to make something happen, get some points, even if it's 3 on this drive.
Here's Myler. Nearly has a hole to try and get a decent return out of this, and he does across the 25 down to the 27-yard line.
It's their best starting point after a kick like that. Let's see what they have in mind. The last series, some quick game, some quarterback run-pass options, kind of open things up a little bit for them. He got stalled on going forward on a 4th down.
Wilson, a quick out. This time finds Jalen Jordan, who is their dynamo wide receiver so far this season, and a decent gain of about 5 yards.
Nice job. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a purpose play. You're going to get some yards, plus you're making those big boys up front run to the ball. And, that every little bit helps.
Jalen Jordan, 11 catches, 143 yards coming into this contest. This time again, Wilson has some time, threads the needle to Jordan and gets the first down.
Jordan's a nice-looking receiver. He ran that route perfectly. And somewhere along the line, you're going to see that route and then a stop and go because he was right toe-to-toe with that defensive back, and he's got quite a height advantage over number 5 right out there.
And again, he split 2 defenders to get that ball in the hands of Jordan.
Nice throw. Nice throw. He's got a quick release himself.
Quick out again, and a throw a little too high and too long there on the screen. Trying to find DeRolf again. Call it 2nd down and 10.
Not sure what he was thinking on that. But I'll tell you what, don't do it again. He's on this hash and laying out a lollipop like that. No. Don't feed them anymore. They're good enough as it is. Make them work for their yards.
And again, Isaac Wilson, he was likely heading towards a backup role as quarterback this season until Tice Tomey went down with an off-season injury. And so he's had to be elevated up here. Another good pass outside, and it just seems to me here, Joe, that they're content to just keep throwing outside the numbers and nickel and diamond their way down the field.
And there's nothing wrong with that, and they're putting together some beautiful routes, running them off deep and then coming out to the boundary. And I like that they're focusing on this, even though it's the short side of the field, you're making your quarterback throw to his strength versus across the field. And if you could keep doing that, a big one will open up for you.
Clock stopped right at 2 minutes. Wilson has to step up in the pocket as it collapses, but he can't go anywhere with it as Thacker again gets another sack with a little bit of help from John Raines.
Yeah, they brought the house on that one. Enough is enough, according to the new Pal D. And if you're gonna get the snap and pat the ball, they're on you. You can't afford to do that. That would have been a good situation for a screen right there.
So Justin Beeler has been a busy person tonight here for Pendleton Heights. This will already be his 3rd punt of the evening. Pendleton Heights has not been able to get across midfield so far.
It's awfully easy to sit up here and watch plays that you wish you would have called. Ooh,
Beeler again has to be quick on the punt as here comes a return from Isaiah Thacker. And a flag on the play as Thacker makes a couple of men miss and is down at the 30-yard line, but this is likely going to be coming back as it looked like there may have been a block in the back on New Pal.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of them, and it's going to give them a little bit of a field position advantage.
Of course, Pendleton Heights trying to do something to flip the field right here. This will certainly help that. New Pal has started probably an average starting position of about midfield here so far this evening.
Well, they're gradually finding things they could do on offense. They're gradually finding some ways they can move it. The key now is don't let it get out of reach, because then, all that doesn't matter if you're down by 4 or 5 scores. So we got to play some good D right here, put some heat on them, and still protect against the deep.
So there's 1 minute and 11 seconds left to go here in this ball game. And Joe, I called New Pal's game against Mount Vernon last week right here on 9 Star TV, and Needless to say, New Pal was able to go the full length of the field at the end of the first half with just 45 seconds left.
Is that
all
right?
by clock management, going out of bounds and calling timeouts. So needless to say, even though we're up against it here for the end of the first quarter, New Pal could still punch this in here.
Well, I'm not surprised. They are well coached, and they have a seasoned quarterback that just looks like he was born to play the position.
But Siddiqui Traore was certainly born to play defensive end. He has been a monster on that front line for the Arabians tonight.
He's having a day. He's going to be a find for somebody. He plays the game hard. He looks like he's got some nice growth potential, and he's showing up against the big boys today.
Gain of 2 on that play there for Grayson Thomas. Tip it back to pass again.
There's your post again. Come on.
Right down, and Thacker again right at midfield. Has a head of steam, one man to beat, and he is tackled there by Clint Myler. What did I say, Joe?
Yeah, nice job again by the quarterback. It was a good, well-thought-out route combination. They ran back-to-back posts, and the safety jumps one. They're throwing the other. Beautiful call.
70-yard catch and run there for Isaiah Thacker, roughly. And again, New Pal threatening again, but the clock is running as they get the change set.
If you're Pendleton Heights, that's the worst thing that could happen at this point. If you're New Pal, those are the things you expect to happen, as you said happened last week.
One final play here. Thomas is just going to run it back to the middle of the field, and that'll bring us to the end of quarter number 1. So it's been all New Pal offense, but the Pendleton Heights defense has shown some life. We'll see what else can happen going into quarter number 2. Back in a moment here on 9 Star TV.
We are really heavily involved in the community, so there are multiple different volunteer opportunities that we can go and do.
Volunteer time to share their time and talents with organizations that need not only monetary assistance, but just people's time to help those organizations grow and thrive.
9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
There you see a lively student section for the Pendleton Heights Arabians as we head to quarter number 2 here at John Broughton Field. Alongside Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling. Joe, your thoughts on quarter number 1?
Well, it was just a massive New Pal offensive line being able to run the football, protect the quarterback. They went deep a couple times on the post route. They're playing as you would expect them to play. I think we're seeing Pendleton Heights play with some enthusiasm on their defense. They're getting hurt by the big play. Really, it's just out execution from some very talented people. They're covering the field, but they're just making the right plays. New Pal, that is. Pendleton Heights is gradually finding things that they can do offensively to move the football and get some momentum going. But now you don't want to get yourself in too big of a hole where all that stuff is not really going to matter.
And again, New Pal is playing without their starting right tackle, Ian Moore, at the moment. But that hasn't stopped him so far. Here's Thomas, has a hole going right behind Brock Brownfield. And that's another short gain out to about, call it the 18-yard line. It'll be about 3rd down and 6.
You know, they're playing tough. They've got some linebackers. Pendleton Heights, I'm talking about, has some linebackers that can really run and hit. But you could tell they're down 3 up there. They're getting up slower. They're walking to the ball slower. They're just getting pounded, and that's what happens when you play a physical team that just believes in the weight room.
And Thomas gets right up close to the line to gain. He is stood up, though, by Nick Trout, the leading tackler in this defensive unit for Pendleton Heights. And you are rest assured, New Pal is going to go for it right here.
4th and short, big stop here. Let's see if we can do something. Heights.
Tippett's going to try and draw Pendleton Heights off sides here. He gets the snap. 1st down yardage for Kropp, and he gets pummeled there by Jared Hess out of the free safety spot for Pendleton. But still, it's a 1st down for New Pal.
and it's a great piece of offense. If you leave somebody out there uncovered on the trips, they have the ability to attack it, and that's just a 100% full-scale opportunity to convert on a 4th and short.
Passing play again, looking into the end zone, and who else but Blaine Nunnally getting his 2nd touchdown of the night.
Yeah, they're playing off on the goal line, and that's it's tough. It's tough. Usually you want to get low, you want to press them, you want to get inside. If you're playing off and you're soft on it, they could just run in front of you and stop and catch the ball. That's just what they did. And trying like heck to keep this from turning into a rout, but New Pal is not cooperating.
New Pal usually doesn't cooperate when a route is in play, as it's now 21-0. And New Pal still well in control of this one.
Just beautiful execution. It's a very, very talented team that's well coached, and their skilled people are executing, and they can block you. That's not a good team to play against. But they're doing a nice job. They're playing with spirit, and they're going hard, and they're just falling a little bit short. Now, a little bit earlier, you started talking about this 4A. There's going to be some formidable football games once we get to that point. Roncalli right there, Mooresville, East Central, Brebeuf, Evansville Rights. Those are all teams that are just steeped in tradition. This is going to be exciting this year with New Pal playing up against this bunch.
Of course, again, as we mentioned earlier, New Pal coming back down to Class 4A after spending a few seasons in Class 5A. In fact, they actually won a state championship up there back in 2019, but then went a little dry for a little while as going up against a tough Mount Vernon program that had been excellent the last 2 years. One under former head coach Mike Kirshner, who's now at Warren Central, and then in Vince Leidy's first year as the head coach of Mount Vernon. He is actually one of the few head coaches in state football history to actually win a state championship in his first year as the head coach of a football program. But New Pal coming off a convincing win against the Marauders last week, and so far they're building on that success here tonight against Pendleton. It's another short kick here by Tanksley, and Myler again on the return. And Myler runs right in to a big wall of Pendleton Heights, or rather New Palestine Gunners, and he barely gets back to the 20.
You were talking about Mount Vernon last year. I had the opportunity to do that championship game, and they just had a couple years, like 3 years in a row, Mount Vernon, where they had such speed. Their secondary, and then even up front, they had speed and quickness. They just developed it so well that was a tough team to beat. But they're back down to earth this year, as proven by what happened last week with New Pal.
Quentin DeVault goes nowhere on that one. In fact, he actually goes backwards, loses a couple yards, as this defensive front right now with Brownfield in on it, as well as Michael Thacker.
Yeah, they're smelling blood right now. They get one more stop and one more score. They're in business. Little creativity. It's tough to throw that quick game all day long, Heights, but that's what's going to have to work for you, to try to hammer that inside with those big behemoths up there. I don't think it's going to serve you very well.
2nd down and 12 for Wilson, thinking quick, but the throw goes behind
pass.
Nate DeRolf, and they are going to call that a forward pass, but only just.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a fumble and all kinds of trouble. But we're looking at all kinds of trouble anyway. 3rd and 12, 13. It's going to take your best call right here, Coach, to pick this up and keep the football out of the hands, because the Dragons are hungry.
In the backfield now is Jared Hess with Wilson. Has some time, looking over the middle. Lots of receivers, but also lots of defensive backs as well. And one of them right there is Beeler Hurst of New Pal, getting his first interception of the season. And another turnover here by Pendleton Heights.
Perfectly covered. It looked to me like it was a wheel route where your outside guy runs a post, inside guy runs a flat and go. Super coverage. Nowhere to throw that ball. And I guess you have to look at it as a punt, a chance to get it out of the hole and make him work the field. When you're at 3rd and 12, unless you got a great screen, that's a defensive advantage situation all the time.
So just slightly underthrown there from the junior quarterback Wilson.
Covered it well.
And now Pendleton Heights looking a little flustered on defense here. Nunnally left out in the open, and he takes advantage of that opening, gets a first down to about the 36.
Now that had to be a defensive bust. They came out here with their trips like they like, and really only one guy was accounted for. That was just a piece of cake for the Dragons.
And look at that, though, Joe.
Same thing.
It looks like that looked like an incomplete pass there.
Is that right? Hit the ground?
Looks like it hit the ground. But again, no replay in high school football, so we play on. Tippett, another quick throw out to Nunnally, and another first down. Keeps his feet under him along the sideline, gets extra yards inside the 15. Blaine Nunnally is having himself a game tonight.
He's a good football player, and he's physical. He's running the ball. He's running it hard. This we talked about earlier. There's just so many weapons, so many different things you can do with that offense. I think I heard you mention this was the best New Pal team you've seen, and you know they've had some good ones. So a lot of that has got to do with the ability to strike in so many different areas.
Tippett waiting patiently, and a high throw along the line of scrimmage. Falling forward there is Ty Mitchell getting his first catch of the evening.
When you could hang that ball out there for so long and still get yardage on that, that's just a tribute to how physical their perimeter people are. And I think that Heights is wearing down a little bit.
Inside the red zone now. Tippett with a beautiful sell on the fake there to Thomas. Gets inside the 5, but we have a flag down on the play. And it looks like they pick up that flag, and we continue play.
Have we had a flag yet?
We've had a couple flags.
Okay.
Had an illegal block in the back on New Pal on the return.
Kicking the aim, right.
And, of course, Pendleton Heights was dinged with a crucial offsides that kept a drive going for New Pal on one of the early drives in the first quarter. Thomas again, and he gets stood up right at the line of scrimmage, maybe falls forward for a yard. Nick Trout in on the tackle. That's now 40 tackles for him on the season.
And we're just getting started, huh? Good football player.
Again, Nick Trout had only 38 tackles all of last year in a full season. We've only played 5. This is game number 5 now this season, and he has already surpassed that. Thomas again, trying to get him a touchdown, keeps his feet going, and he's into the end zone for another New Palestine touchdown.
Spread you out. Make you cover everybody, make you cover all 53 yards of that field, and hammer it on the inside. Tough to stop.
So ever since New Palestine turned the ball over on downs on their opening drive of the ball game, they have been successful in getting into the end zone for every drive since.
And they have no intention of doing anything differently.
Brendan Tanksley also intent on not doing anything differently. He is now 4 for 4 on PATs, and it is a 28-0 ball game as New Pal once again just taking it to Pendleton Heights here on this beautiful summer's evening. Last time we can say that this year.
It is a gorgeous night, absolutely gorgeous night. Great crowd, a lot of spirit in the crowd. Right now, what we need out of Heights is just a nice solid drive. Just a nice solid drive. No need to panic. Just play some football. You've seen what you can do. You've seen how they've defended your formations. Now get your best calls and get yourself some confidence getting back into this game.
So Pendleton Heights is already ready to go here. Again, as tonight's broadcast presented by Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. They're not new to the game, but they are a restaurant inside of Camp Sertoma, certainly is. Stop by and check them out at 2316 South German Church Road, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, or online at smokin-barrel-bbq.com.
Sounds good to me.
Could go for some barbecue
I'm
right
a
about now.
barbecue guy. You too?
Of course.
All right. All right.
Love me a good set of St. Louis-style ribs.
Perfect.
So here we go now as New Palestine to kick it back here into the hands of Pendleton Heights as the Arabians try to get some semblance of something going on. And now Myler again had a full head of steam, but is tackled right there by the shoulder pad. Looked a little nefarious there on that takedown, but no call by the officials. And we play on as they spot the ball right at the 25-yard line.
Wow. That, he tried to cut and pivot off the same foot, and he actually had a seam right there. If he could have hit that seam, it would have been interesting. And that's what they need. They need some kind of a magic play. They need somebody to fall down in the secondary and get a big one, somebody to miss an assignment and run a couple nice long gaping runs together. But they need some magic in order to get back in this game and get some momentum on their side.
Wilson with two backs in the backfield now with him. And he's going to go on the keeper. Starts one way, tries to come back the other, keeps his feet moving, and a solid run by the quarterback. Gets across the 30.
Nice job.
And he stands all of 5'8", 165 pounds, but he was certainly not afraid to take on that big front line of New Pal.
No, he's all toughness. What a great run. What a great effort on that play. Let's get everybody else playing that hard. Now mix in your quick game. Get them on their heels.
Low snap. And on the fake handoff, who else but Michael Thacker to break up the play there as Wilson tries the keeper again and gets back maybe to the line of scrimmage. They're actually going to call it a loss of a yard there.
Michael Thacker.
And that is now his 12th tackle for loss this season.
That can't be right. He's not a sophomore. Is that what that says?
Michael Thacker is indeed a sophomore.
No, he's not playing like a sophomore.
Well, he is.
He's an angry sophomore.
Indeed he is. Trying again. Wilson tries to cut it in there to Reddington, and that is a pretty cut and dry pass interference call right there for the line judge. And so that'll be 15 yards from the previous spot and a first down here for Pendleton Heights.
At this point, we'll take the yards any way we can get them. Keep pressuring them. Keep putting it to them. Throw quick. Those big guys aren't waiting around today.
So Blaine Nunnally, the guilty party on that one. He's clarifying with the line judge. So the ball goes to the 45.
Everybody's within about 7 yards of that line of scrimmage.
Pressure here for Wilson. Gets rid of it downfield
and
has a receiver down inside the 30. That's Caden Sims. What a catch by the junior receiver. And just like that, Pendleton Heights has some life.
That's what we were talking about, making a play like that. Was a super play by the quarterback. He was under duress, and he threw it out there just perfectly. Yeah, he's running for his life here and then just lays it out there in the exact right spot to beat the coverage and make a big play.
That's Caden Sims' 6th catch of the season. Meanwhile, you had Eli Hook applying the pressure there on Wilson. And now we have a whistle before the snap. And it looks like a timeout's going to be taken by Pendleton Heights.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. We want to get this drive absolutely right. And I think that might have saved them a penalty, too. There had somebody moving up front.
It was certainly close, so that'll be their second time out of the half. They have one more as we take a look at that catch again by Caden Sims. He was a sophomore last year, had a big game-winning touchdown catch against Mississinawa early in the season, only as a sophomore. And so now getting another year under his belt, showing a little bit more experience with that catch.
I think we're seeing some quarterback play where, as you said before, he may not be the most imposing physical figure, but, man, he's playing with his heart and soul, and that took a lot of grit and guts on that completion. And now they've got him in a spot where we could get some points on the board. And I like that Coach took a timeout to recognize, hey, this is a drive, and we're going to get it just right. We're going to have our best plays, our best people, and we're going to take it to these Dragons.
So Luke Wilson having the tall task of taking over for Luke Candiano, who was the 3-year starter for Pendleton Heights. He had over 2,000 career passing yards in his time with Pendleton Heights. He graduated after last year. And Wilson certainly showing his moxie on that one.
And they're teasing him with the press coverage.
Here's Wilson looking along the sideline again, and another interception kills the drive. And New Pal again flexing their muscle. And that's Isaiah Thacker. He has a touchdown catch tonight and now has an interception.
Yeah, you can't throw it late. The quarterback held on to it just a little bit too long. If he'd have let it fly a little bit sooner, then it would have been a chance for a 50-50 go up and get it. But as you wait, DB was in great position.
And again, just slightly underthrown by Wilson.
They ran out of his range. If he would have thrown a little bit quicker, that would have been a chance.
Looking for Jalen Jordan right there.
Well, they had a
But if there's a positive
opportunity.
if there's a positive on this though, Joe, this is the worst field position that New Pal has had all night.
Okay, we'll build off that.
But here's Grayson Thomas. And actually, no, that's Kyler Kropp there on the sweep inside. And that's a big gain of about 20 yards out across the 25.
Yeah, he was 12 yards into the secondary before he got touched. Beautiful job blocking up front. I'm still on that last interception. Wish he'd have chucked it up there a little bit sooner. He'd have been a lot more happy with the outcome.
Hand off again to Kyler Kropp.
Face mask?
Sheds a tackle. Pendleton Heights player got a whole lot of jersey there on Kyler Kropp, but he stays up and gets a few extra yards, gain of about 6. There again you see Kyler Kropp. 13 carries for 67 yards coming into this contest. 9 catches for 166 yards, 3 total touchdowns so far for him. A very big utility player, Kyler Kropp, there for this Dragons squad.
You know, they seem like every year they have one of those guys that can go deep, can run the ball, plays in the secondary, just good all-around athletes.
Tippett with time, directing some
together.
traffic, throws a dart, and he throws an interception. Oh, my goodness. What a play by Nolan Souders. And he keeps his feet in bounds, and that is Daniel Tippett's first interception of the season.
Is that right? He had all day back there, and he was really scrambling, making something happen. The receivers were so close together on that it didn't really give him a chance, and it kept the defense.
He was telling his receiver to come back to him, and Souders reads that one perfectly, comes back with him, and makes the catch. What a grab.
Beautiful break on the throw.
And here's Quentin DeVault, again just trying to pummel through the line and give the offense a little bit of breathing room as it's a gain of about 2.
Back-to-back turnovers. We're right back where we started from. There's plenty of time here now for them to put together a nice drive.
Indeed, the clock is Pendleton Heights' friend here at the moment as we tick inside of the 4-minute mark.
You know, they could go back to that route that got the turnover, but throw it sooner.
So Brendan Adams is in on offense here at the moment. Usually a linebacker on defense. Quick throw. Oh, and right in the pickle barrel, trying to find Nate DeRolf, but he just dropped it. Maybe slightly behind him, but still, if you're DeRolf, you got to make that catch.
Well, I got to say, the safety that closed on that was a factor also. He broke on that just perfectly and was physical along with it. And we're not going to see it.
Good throw there by Luke Wilson, though, getting it quick over the middle.
And a nice call. They got a nice void in the middle. I don't know if he could have thrown it sooner, but that was the glitch in the play. Safety had time to adjust and break on it.
So 3rd down and long here. DeRolf in motion. Wilson looks to the sideline again. This time in traffic to DeRolf, incomplete.
Same concept, trying to work that sideline over there with a couple good route combinations. He threw the ball sooner, but he just didn't have the space. It was well covered.
And that'll bring on Justin Beeler once again here for Pendleton Heights. Unable to capitalize on the very rare turnover from New Pal.
It is so frustrating to have those opportunities and then, 3 and out. This wouldn't be a bad time to fake it if you're gonna. Why not?
And the punt's away there from Beeler. And Thacker is going to let that one bounce. And Pendleton Heights is much obliged to down it inside the 10. So that is Beeler's 6th punt inside the 20 here this season, to make it at least that much more difficult for New Pal here with just over 3 minutes left in the half.
And what is that stat? Out of how many throws, that was his first turnover?
So far this season, coming into this contest, he had thrown 68 passes.
Okay.
So I'm guessing he's probably thrown at least 15 more passes tonight so far in this first half. So you're looking at almost 80 throws on the season before throwing an interception. That's a pretty efficient quarterback.
Yeah. That's why they're not losing, and that's going to be tough to beat them if they continue. And that was really a result of having receivers so close together. There was no space, and usually on a scramble play you want somebody to clear and somebody to run the out.
Pass out to Kropp, and he gets across the line to gain out to the 18-yard line. Kyler Kropp has been a busy man here so far tonight for this New Pal offense.
Seems to me they just keep bringing in speed. They can attack you in so many ways, plus they've got a line that comes off the football. But there's no tomorrow.
Thomas on the carry. Has a couple yards there.
Let's see how they're going to play this one. Do they want one more, or are they just going to try to establish something? I can't believe that they're not going to go deep.
Well, they've gone deep before, right at the end of the first quarter.
And you said they did the same thing last week, right?
They certainly did something similar as Thomas again spins his way through the line. And that's enough for a first down. So again, Grayson Thomas, we haven't had a chance to really highlight him tonight in spite of the fact that he's been busy, but so many other pieces for New Pal have been busy as well, as we have a timeout here called by the Dragons, their first of the half. But Grayson Thomas again, a player for New Pal who has rushed for at least 1,000 yards in his first 2 seasons as a freshman and sophomore. He is the first New Palestine Dragon to actually do that, and he is well on his way to rushing for another 1,000 yards this season. He already has 643 rushing yards coming into tonight on top of whatever he has amassed already so far in this game.
Which is a real tribute to him because they have so many weapons to go to, and this coaching staff, they're going to use everybody. If you can help them, if you're going to score and do something with the football, they're going to get it to you. So it's not like they have a workhorse anymore like they did back in the day where they just give them 35, 40 carries.
Of course, the workhorse you referred to is the likes of Charlie Spiegel,
who
was the state's all-time leading rusher. He rushed for over 10,000 yards in his career. 4 years, mind you, 2 at Delta and then 2 at New Palestine.
Well, you mentioned the 2019 game against Cathedral. He was very, very, very physical and made a difference, big difference in the game.
So out of the timeout. Tippett looks to throw a screen to Nunnally. It's read well by the Pendleton secondary, and it's for a minimal gain.
Yeah, they've seen that one enough. They've got it covered. Now what they need to do is set up the screen and sneak somebody deep. You've seen that before. I'm sure that's coming.
Isaiah Thacker had a big 70-yard catch near the end of the first quarter. Tippett feeling the blitz, shakes one tackler, rolls out, fires, and it's incomplete. And you had a lot of pressure coming up the gut from Eli Arthur. He just kind of got tripped up a little bit. That gave Tippett that much more time.
And a lot of poise for the quarterback. He knew exactly what to do. He had great confidence in his ability to escape. And once he got free, turned it loose.
So that'll stop the clock here as New Pal will have a chance to take their time and set up another play.
Well, we got a single safety.
3rd down and 8. Over the middle.
Yep.
And
Close
completed.
Together. Nice job on the route.
Big catch there by Micah Clark.
Came back to the single receiver side. Perfectly run post. Skinny enough to keep the free safety out of it. Free safety got a nice hit out of it. But beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Excellent execution.
And that was quick. They didn't even have the chain set before they kept this going. And Grayson Thomas with a delayed handoff up the gut for another first down.
Now these guys want to get one more. There's the answer to the question.
And in the spirit of things here, New Pal has had a running clock at halftime the last 2 games this season. As Grayson Thomas pummels his way up again for another first down for the Dragons.
Well,
if not awfully close.
What we discussed earlier, they just come off the ball so well, and it's, they're wearing them down. There's no substitutions. These guys are getting beat up.
So Thomas gets the extra yard to get the first down finally. He gets across the 25. And they stop the clock at 41 seconds. New Pal calling another timeout. And if it comes down to it, Braden Tanksley has made 4 of 5 field goals so far this season. He certainly has the range to hit it from back here, but very rarely will you see New Pal opt to kick a field goal.
What's his longest? Have we see that stat anywhere?
I do not have a stat for how long, but we have seen him hit at least a 30-yard field goal so far this season before.
And we've seen him in pregame, and he can pop it. Yeah, get those guys some water, turn them loose.
Haven't needed too many hydration breaks so far here tonight. It's a comfortable night just right here at about the low 80s as the sun goes down.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
As we talked about, the last football game of summer before we hit the fall months next week. So Pendleton Heights gets a much-needed break here after they've just been absolutely rolled over by this offensive line of New Pal with the up-tempo play.
I'm going to say they're going to go back to the post to 12 at some point in these final 40 seconds. Right here, look at that middle open up.
Tippett looking to the right side and has Thacker, and that's good for a first down, and falls forward across the 10 and across the 5 as well, getting every last inch that he can out of that play.
Great effort. Got that third leg down, and feet were churning. And now we've got to do something to stop that clock.
Grayson Thomas into the end zone. 34 points put up this half by New Pal. Thomas into the end zone for the second time tonight.
It's a good football team. They can hit you in any spot. They play great defense. They're so well coached. They're hitting all the right spots on the defense. Plus, they can block you.
That's now 12 rushing TDs to this season for Grayson Thomas.
It's a mark of a good team. I mean, they could finish off. How many yards do they have to go?
They went roughly about 80 yards down the field in 3 minutes. Very efficiently.
And at the first start of that drive, it didn't even look like they wanted to. They were just kind of hamming around the line of scrimmage. Excellent job. Now you got to do some work, Coach, to get your Pendleton Heights team jacked up at halftime to come out and play some ball and get some momentum going for next week.
And as I briefly mentioned earlier about the running clock stat, this will now be the third game in a row that New Pal has forced a running clock at half, meaning the second half in its entirety will be a running clock, regardless of if Pendleton Heights can get it back to within that 35-point threshold.
I don't know if I like that rule. Do you like that rule?
Well, the IHSAA, put it in place in situations such as this where a team is up by so many points, where
mercy.
The game doesn't drag on. It is a mercy rule.
Show mercy.
And it certainly has its benefits, but it does negate the fact that there could be a second half miraculous comeback.
Yeah,
that's still a possibility. You just have less time to do it.
I've not seen a team really mount a comeback with a clock like it. There's just no stopping it. All of a sudden, quarter's over.
You can call a timeout to stop it. They will also stop the clock for penalties. But other than that, even if it's an incomplete pass, the clock will keep moving. Ball bounces into the hands of Pendleton Heights. That's Jacob Rowley on the return. And he gets forced back out into the middle of the field. And so Pendleton Heights will have enough time for maybe 2 plays here to close out the first half.
I say you take a knee and go in and talk about it.
So Isaac Wilson trots back out onto the field.
There's been some great effort, some great spirit, some great individual performances. The quarterback from Pendleton Heights has been nothing but tough guts. You're just up against a team that's really stacked.
So Pendleton going to run a play here. And the handoff is to DeVault. He goes up the gut. He gets near midfield out to the 45. That's the longest play second longest play from scrimmage so far tonight here from Pendleton Heights. But that stops the clock to move the chains, and now they will wind the clock. One final play. Wilson hands it off to DeVault again. And that'll bring us to the end of the first half. Well, business as usual for New Palestine. 35-0 at the half. We go to a running clock going to the second half. But the players will take a break, as will we. With Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling. You're watching Hoosier Heritage Conference Football here on 9 Star TV.
Nine Star is very focused on customer and member care, focused on making sure that however we communicate with the member and customer is how they want to communicate.
Sometimes we're the one person that they speak to in a day, and you want that conversation to be happy and pleasant.
As a nonprofit co-op, we're focused on providing the best service we can for our members.
9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Second half just moments away here at John Broughton Field in Pendleton, Indiana. Alongside Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling. It has been all New Palestine here in this one. The top team in Class 4A making work of Pendleton Heights here tonight, 35-0 going in to the second half. Joe, needless to say, well-oiled machine of New Pal doing exactly what they do best, and that is putting points on the scoreboard, especially in the first half. They are going to be having their third running clock game in the second half in a row here in this one.
I'm not surprised either. They're such a well-oiled team, well-coached, athletes at every position, up front, defensively, and then offensively. They're physical. They can run the football. The quarterback is a very, very skilled and talented and poised young man, and they got some killers at wide receivers. So it's a good-looking football team, and it's going to be interesting to follow as we get deep into the autumn months and into the winter months.
Indeed, and so let's just kind of take a look at this well-oiled machine here of New Pal. Daniel Tippett, 16 of 19 for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. He is having a night, to say the least. He has also been throwing to Isaiah Thacker, who is the leading receiver. He has 5 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown. The longest was 68 yards midway through that second quarter. But Blaine Nunnally has more touchdowns than Thacker does. He has 5 receptions for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, Kyler Kropp getting 4 catches as well for 45 yards. But Grayson Thomas, he is having himself a night as well rushing the ball. He has had 17 carries for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is well on his way to another 100-yard rushing game. He has not rushed for less than 100 yards so far this season in a single game. But then when you look at Pendleton Heights, Isaac Wilson has gotten it going right now here, though. He has only completed 5 passes out of 15 passes thrown so far for 54 yards, and he has also been sacked twice. He also has 2 interceptions.
Well, you know that he's up against a defense that's outstanding, but he's playing well. I think he's one of the more impressive young people we see out there in that he is just full of grit and full of spunk, and if something can be made, if a play is there to be made, he's going to make it. I like the way he's playing. In fact, their whole team is playing with nothing but spirit. They're just up against a team that's, they've got it all. They got some poise. They got confidence. They got players. And, what has the coach got? 200 wins in 5 years?
108 wins in 10 years.
Unbelievable.
But he only has 10 losses in 10 years, so
Yeah.
he's netting 1 loss per season in his time. But, of course, he has a couple of undefeated seasons in that time span. New Palestine is outgaining Pendleton Heights 384 yards to 66 so far here tonight. Even though time of possession has been relatively even keel, New Palestine has had the ball for just 3 more minutes than Pendleton Heights. So the Arabians start the second half with the football here. This time it's going to be returned for Pendleton Heights here by Jacob Rowley. And he's not going to go too far with that as he gets that back to maybe the 20-yard line.
If there's a tougher halftime speech to give, I'd like to know when it is. But when you go in 35 down against a team that's capable of getting 70 more, it's very, very difficult. But what you try to do is just establish something that can make you have some confidence, get these kids excited about coming to practice on Monday, because there's another week, and you're not going to face another team the caliber of New Pal the rest of the way. I promise you that.
So Isaac Wilson going to hand it off to, it looks like DeVault, either that or maybe Eli Arthur. And that's going to be Dresden Roberts actually getting his first carry of the night. Again, this is one of about 5 feature backs that Pendleton Heights usually plays. You have Nick Trout, Quentin DeVault, as well as Jared Hess, Eli Arthur, and Dresden Roberts all getting significant carries this season.
Well, they ran into a brick wall right there. Didn't look like it was much fun. If they're going to move the football, they got to do what we talked about. Quick game, run the quarterback, and try to do some misdirection.
Wilson with a quick throw again, has his man. That is going to be DeRolf. He turns the corner, gets a first down out to the 40, and is going to be tackled out of bounds right at the 42.
Nice job. That's where something can happen. As soon as you get that ball, QB, pull the trigger. Nice tight window, great run after the catch. These are things you can build on, and it gives your whole team nothing but confidence when you can execute under adversity.
That's the longest catch of the season so far for Nate DeRolf, who had 105 yards coming into this contest. He also has a touchdown to his credit. Wilson with some momentum, another quick dart out to the right side again, looking for Jordan, and that is through his hands and incomplete.
Most of the success of this short games comes from the route running ability of the wide receivers. If you make everything look like you're going deep, you're going to have some space. But if you just come off knowing, and everybody in the stadium knows it's a 5-yard route, it's just a dead play. So hopefully they can be disciplined and conditioned enough to make it look deep, catch the short one, and then once in a while drop in the deep ball.
Wilson going to go on the keeper. And Wilson definitely showing no fear running right up the gut, as he has a solid gain of about 4 yards right across the 45. They're going to put the ball right at the 45.
Nothing wrong with this offense. Quick game and misdirection with the quarterback running the ball. He's as tough as anybody they've got out there in terms of carrying the mail.
This is the 36th all-time meeting between these two teams. In fact, no two teams have faced each other more in the Hoosier Heritage Conference than these two teams right here, except for New Pal and Mount Vernon. They have faced each other 68 times.
Is that right? What a rivalry.
Back to pass again is Wilson. He steps up, fires, has his man for a first down. What a heads-up play by the junior quarterback right at the line of scrimmage, and he hits Reese Reddington.
Nice job of keeping it alive. He wanted the post initially, but they jumped on it. He had to bounce down to his secondary receiver running the crossing route. He just played with great poise. You got to be excited as a coach to see what this young man can do.
Wilson looking deep this time and has another one to Jalen Jordan. He almost breaks free inside the 20. Pendleton Heights saying running clock be damned. They're moving the football on this opening drive.
I don't want to say I told you so, but when he gets the ball and pulls the trigger, he's got a chance to make a play before the defense can react and play on the football.
That is the longest play from scrimmage so far today for Pendleton Heights.
Good job on the execution. Way to go up and get it.
Wilson gonna check up the middle, follow some blockers, and another solid gain of about 5 yards inside the 15. And Joe, just to put this in perspective, the Arabians had 5 first downs all half long in the first half. They already have 4 on this drive.
Yeah, they came out with a good scheme. They're just and I'm not going to tell you that New Pal is not sitting back on their heels just a little bit, but it doesn't matter at this point. Now you better get serious because Heights has not given up the ship.
Starting lineup is still out there for New Pal.
Wilson, there you go, over the middle.
Going to roll now to his right. Tucks it and runs it, gets inside the 10, and is tackled out of bounds into the...
We're going to spot that about the 3.
They're going to be maybe about the 5-yard line or so. Couldn't quite get a good read on it. Now it goes out of bounds, but it does not stop the clock. Remember, we're in a running clock.
Ugh. That would kill you, wouldn't it? You got a little something going. But you got to play defense.
So we're already halfway through this third quarter, as Pendleton Heights has been moving the ball big time. First time in the red zone here tonight. Wilson rolls to his left, fires, touchdown, Pendleton Heights. Caden Sims gets his first touchdown catch of the season, and Pendleton Heights avoids the shutout, but man, what a crisp drive by the Arabians.
Beautiful job, beautiful execution. Play calling was superb. The quarterback just played so well. You know, he showed flashes of this in the first half. Second half, he was just polished. You know, I'm sure the coaches said it, but it stuck. Forget about the scoreboard. It's 0-0. Let's go play some football. They did a super job.
And the PAT is good by Dominic Apo, his 12th of the season. He is actually perfect on the year in that regard.
Now that's more like it, huh?
And you mentioned going into the second half, Joe, about how if you're Pendleton Heights, all you're doing is just building towards next week. Well, what better way to do it than with that kind of drive right there?
Exactly. And against the same people, you said they didn't substitute anybody. That's the same people that are going to be going deep into the playoffs, and you showed what you can do with good execution. They didn't really give that defensive line a chance to pressure them. Got the ball and threw it away, got rid of it quickly, and had enough quarterback run in there to keep the defense honest with some misdirection.
And so the clock stops for in-between possessions, so at least it doesn't tick down too far. and we get out of hand, but
Yeah.
now we'll have a kickoff coming here from Pendleton Heights.
It'll be interesting to see how New Pal plays this third quarter.
And it looks like we're going to redo the PAT. So it looks like there was a penalty that we neglected to observe on the previous PAT, so we're going to do this again.
All right. Where's the ball? Can you see where that ball is spotted? It was against the defense?
It's actually, yeah, it was against the defense, so they go half the distance to the goal, so it's only going to add a yard or take away a yard here for Apo. Either way, they re-kick the PAT, and it is still good, so they put the 7 back on the scoreboard. So after a slight delay.
So why do you kick that? Why do you just not decline it and take the point? All right. No problem. My point before that happened was, does that opening drive from Heights change the attack of New Pal? You wonder, were they going to come out firing, or were they going to come out controlling the clock and running the football? This, to me, would anger the coach and say, hey, heck with this. They're still playing, we're still playing, we're going to go after them. It'll be interesting to see how they play this first drive that they have the ball in the third quarter.
Be sure to join us next week, as we'll be right back here at Pendleton Heights as the Mount Vernon Marauders come to Pendleton to take on the Arabians. Rob Brown and you, Joe Polizzi, will be on the call of that one. You can catch that one right here at 7 o'clock live here on 9 Star TV.
You know, that's fun for me to be able to do back-to-back weeks because I'll get to see this quarterback again against somebody else.
Of course, against a Mount Vernon Marauders team which is still quite talented, but still got beat up on pretty good by this New Pal squad just a week ago.
And you were at the game. That kind of surprised me that it happened that way. Was it a game of big plays, or was it a...
There were a lot of explosive plays from New Pal. They put exactly 35 points on the scoreboard at the half, and then they only scored one more touchdown in the second half as they were, they were slowly taking out their starting players. And then, of course, Mount Vernon was able to put on a couple scores late in the game. They actually put in a touchdown but missed the subsequent extra point to make it 42-6, which was the final score. But one thing that is a big strength of this New Pal squad is the fact that they know how to make explosive plays happen, and we've seen that here tonight.
So many weapons, it's tough to defend them all. You know that. And especially when you're a coach that can locate the weak spots on a defense and go right at them.
So Apo puts his boot into it, and it's going to be taken out here.
He's gone.
By Daniel Thacker. He makes a couple men miss. Gets back across midfield, down to the 40. Still men chasing him down to the 20, and is finally corralled out of bounds by the Pendleton Heights special teams. Bo Surface on the tackle. What a run back there by Daniel Thacker.
A couple great moves. He had some nice bursts of speed. I got to tell you, that was a good effort on the kick team just to keep him out of the end zone, because I thought early on that he had a lane and he was going to be gone.
And, of course, New Pal going to take their time here given the running clock situation. And once again, the starting lineup is still out there for New Pal to get them some reps in the second half. Here's Thomas. Tries to turn the corner and then falls his way forward across the 10. Going to spot it at about the 8-yard line.
Good back. Runs with such good lean, quick feet.
Grayson Thomas, 3,032 career rushing yards coming into tonight.
He's getting close to 100 tonight, is he not?
He is very close, had 74 in the first half.
What
Tip
was
it
that?
with a left-handed throw, and that falls incomplete. He is a right-handed quarterback, and he just threw it with his left hand trying to find Kyler Kropp.
That was a little Mahomes action. You know what? If he'd have held on to it and ran it, he probably would have walked in. But he took the shot on that one, and it's, his instincts took over, right?
So take a look at this again. He switched his hands and threw a spiral with his left hand.
Wasn't bad, was it?
And it fell incomplete there to Kyler Kropp. Now looks like we have a flag down here on the near side of the field as the officials holding a conference at about the 10-yard line. And it looks like we have an eligible downfield on New Pal. But then it's also unsportsmanlike conduct on New Pal. So you have one penalty being accepted, one declined here by Pendleton Heights, and it'll walk it back here. So that left-handed play, although incomplete, is going to be even more for naught as they walk off 15
Costly.
yards.
I'd like to know what coach says about a play like that. Rarely does it turn out good.
Until it does turn out good.
And then it's a spectacular play and it's on all the highlights in the world. But more times than not, it's intercepted and goes the distance.
So they're backed up to the 29-yard line now. There's Terore applying some pressure. Grayson Thomas sheds one tackle, sheds another, and is finally rolled out of bounds inside the 20.
This young man is exceptional with the football in his hands after the catch. Great spirit, runs hard. He's got quick feet, and he is physical for his size. He doesn't look like he's a 190-pounder.
6 foot, 183 pounds, a junior. And believe it or not, that's only his second catch of the season right there.
Is that right? He's just, he plays more physically than he looks, which means as a young kid, he's going to be dangerous.
Here's Tippett looking into the end zone, threads the needle, and it's a touchdown. Ty Mitchell getting his first touchdown of the season and his second catch tonight.
Great execution. It's hard for me to believe that that was the intended receiver. I can't wait to see this replay. He drilled it and whipped it perfectly. What a great job by that quarterback, if that's really who he wanted, because that's all on instinct.
And that is going to put
it was tipped.
Tippett awfully close to the 300-yard mark tonight. That's his fourth touchdown pass of the game as well. And he has now thrown 12 touchdown passes on the season, as Tanksley will put that through the uprights. And good. 42-7 now the score. As the running clock continues to wind down, it is stopped at 33.6 as we tick down close to the end of the third quarter here.
We're seeing a little magician play by the quarterback over here. Switching hands, ambidextrous throw, and then that last toss, I think it went past 4 eligible receivers before finally caught in the end zone. So talented young man, a talented football team, and they answered quickly and pretty much said, settle down, boys, we're still in charge here.
So 42 points here for New Palestine. This is the most points given up by Pendleton Heights so far this season. Their previous high came in the previous game against Greenfield Central, in which they were shut out 35-0. Meanwhile, New Pal working on their 23rd win all-time against Pendleton Heights. This would also be their 391st win in program history.
Some interesting scores around the area. Brownsburg up 21-14 over Fisher. Zionsville is 23-7 over Noblesville. Ben Davis and Warren 21-21. A lot of good football going on tonight.
Some good mid-conference action right there between Ben Davis and Warren. A very fierce rivalry from both sides of Indianapolis.
Chittard is up on Columbus North, and Roncalli is up on Guerin, and Cathedral has the night off. So
nice little bye week there for the Fighting Irish.
Interesting. Let's see if we can come back and build off that last drive.
And so the clock's going to tick down to the end of the third quarter here. With the running clock, it certainly goes quickly. Wow. And so this will bring us to quarter number 4. 42-7 is your score right now. New Pal on top of Pendleton Heights here on 9 Star TV.
When moving into a new home, we ask ourselves questions like, who is the best internet provider in town? Well, have you considered locally owned 9 Star Connect? We've become the fastest, most reliable, and dedicated fiber-to-the-home internet company in central Indiana. Our internet packages have been modified, and we are changing speeds at a more competitive price. So give us a look. Visit us at 9starconnect.com. 9 Star is a different kind of company. And the difference is you.
Fourth and final quarter here of tonight's ball game. Tonight's game is brought to you by Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. Tomorrow, the good folks at Smoke and Barrel Barbecue are open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Whatever your plans are for Saturday, they'll be better with some great eats from Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. 2316 South German Church Road and online at smokin-barrel-bbq.com. Once again, alongside Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling here. Quarter number 4 between New Pal and Pendleton Heights. It has been mostly New Pal in this one, but Pendleton Heights, they've shown they can move the football. They're going to try and do that again right here. But, of course, not with flags like that.
Well, they're going to start with a 1st and 5, which always helps.
And so it's going to be an offsides on New Pal, so that'll give them a free 5 yards.
Looks to me like we've got some subs on the defensive front for sure.
Indeed we do. We have a couple of players subbing in now. Ethan Lee, one of them on the defensive front line here for New Pal, as well as Abe Walling. Wilson gets rid of it and overthrows his receiver there, DeRolf. And just seems to me here, Joe, one thing that Wilson certainly can work on here is just some precision passing here. He's had the right idea on a lot of plays. It's just not quite hit his receivers when they're open.
Throwing on the run like that is always difficult. He had some trouble getting the handle on that ball. And I'm telling you, the receiver wasn't that disappointed because he was going to get crushed had that been a completion. But you're right. Let's see if we can keep this alive. 2nd and 5.
Also Landon Seib on the nose tackle position for New Pal. So the complete second team now in here for the Dragons as Quentin DeVault will keep his legs underneath them and power forward for a solid gain, and it looks like that's enough for a first down.
So just going back to the first quarter, did our injured guy get back in the game?
He did not. We have not seen Ian Moore back into the ball game. Again, a D1 caliber offensive lineman in Ian Moore. 23 FBS offers so far for him as a junior. Has not seen any more action in this ball game here tonight.
I hope that's nothing serious.
Wilson with a nice throw out to Caden Sims. And that's a solid gain of about 7 yards.
Keep matriculating the ball down the field. You've heard that one.
I love that word, matriculate.
Not often do you hear it on a football field, but who was the guy? Who was the coach, Kansas City Chiefs at that time, anyway, that made that famous? It's one of the old-timers out there will know what I'm talking about.
That wouldn't have been
Hank Stram.
Hank
That's
Stram,
the guy.
right?
Yes, sir. All right.
Here's Wilson, gets a first down, keeps his legs moving across the 50. Of course, Hank Stram just was the head coach of one Len Dawson, who recently passed away. The golden boy at Purdue before he was captain of Cool in Kansas City.
Very good. Very good. That's some interesting knowledge people your age don't always know.
When you're a news journalist by day, you learn a few things.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Purdue has always had good quarterbacks.
Handoff this time again. Going up the gut, that was Jared Hess on the carry. He's kind of had a quiet night carrying the ball. Granted, kind of a quiet season. Only 14 carries coming into tonight, but he does have a touchdown.
The time is melting away. I hope they can get another one in here. Not that I have any favorites in this game. It's just I like the way the quarterback's playing, and I hope he gets rewarded.
Isaac Wilson has certainly had a solid second half. He juggles the snap, but cuts his way upfield, gets across the first down marker and inside the 30. So nearly a disastrous play. Wilson turns it into something.
If he would have had the handle on that ball early, he was looking at number 10 on the post, and he may have had something. But as it was, he turned it into a play himself.
So he split the defenders right there. Kind of caught him looking.
Showing some leadership as a quarterback, just playing hard, making plays when it's against the utmost of adversity. That's what you got to have.
Wilson with some time, rolling to his right, and hits Reese Reddington coming back to him just shy of the first down marker. So some good plays here from Pendleton Heights, just as you said, Joe, just getting them ready for Mount Vernon of Fortville here on the 23rd. Meanwhile, New Palestine, they're going to have a pretty tough matchup here against Greenfield Central, who has so far had an excellent season. They are 3-1 overall, 1-1 in conference play.
With some very impressive victories. That will be a great game.
Here's Wilson. In some traffic, gets out of the traffic, has some open room, and waltzes his way into the end zone.
Nice play.
Rushing touchdown for Isaac Wilson, his second rushing touchdown of the season, and by far his longest run of the season so far. That was a solid 20-yard gain and some change into the end zone.
Pure effort, pure emotion. That's got to make his coaches, his parents, and the whole sideline proud of him.
But just look at how much traffic he was in on this play, and just squeaks his way through as the PAT is through the uprights there by Dominic Apo.
But once he saw that corner of the end zone, even this late in the game, and as many hits as he's taken, he found a new gear and got himself in the end zone. Nice play. Very impressive young man. Very impressive game. See this? Sees the corner and, let's get there.
And
Good
just
job.
beats the defender coming across him. So Isaac Wilson, again, only a junior. Coach Jed Richmond will have him for one more year. And based off of the performance that we've seen in this second half, there's a lot to build on here with this young man.
Well, he's got such, he's all heart. He's not a very big guy, but what's in him is full of spirit and vinegar, so to speak. You've heard that term. But I'm going to get a chance to see him next week. I can't wait to see him against another team.
Again, you can catch that game right here on 9 Star TV. Mount Vernon and Pendleton Heights going to be right here at John Broughton Field. Mount Vernon, again, coming off of that demoralizing loss to New Pal a week ago. And so there are certainly pieces for this Pendleton Heights team to be competitive. Coach Richmond said, though, after Anderson, which was a 42-6 win for Pendleton Heights, he said that they hadn't arrived yet, but that they have serious goals with some serious kids. It's just a matter of getting everything to work together.
Yeah, you could see that. They play well, and they're just up against a good team today, but they play well. 72 on defense has been a star, and I like the way he plays and just the way their offensive line is coached and comes off the ball. It makes you feel good about watching them play.
And the kick dangerously floats with the sideline, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback, but that avoids the penalty yardage right there as Dominic Apo just squeaks by with that one. Meanwhile, we have a Pendleton Heights player down on the field right now on the near sideline.
That clock doesn't stop at all. Huh?
And the clock will not stop here unless indicated by the officials.
Huh. All right, well, I can't believe the New Pal staff is excited about that last drive and the way they've performed in the second half.
New Pal takes over at the 20-yard line.
And once again, it looks like you're going to see, nope, it's going to be these substitutions here for New Pal. So you have Brady Armstrong, the second-string quarterback, now in here getting some reps.
And why not? Big game next week. They've played very, very well with their first unit. Give some people some opportunity.
Pendleton Heights showing blitz. And the handoff goes to Connor Jacobia, who is a 131-pound freshman, getting some minutes here on varsity.
Really? You know he's got something going for him if he's playing on the varsity for this program.
Meanwhile, New Pal is going to take their time, take down as much time as they possibly can. Armstrong on the keeper. And he gets close to a first down. So when Pendleton Heights takes on Mount Vernon next week, That'll be the first time that they faced the Marauders since they got beat by them 63-28 in sectionals a year ago. Of course, Mount Vernon would go on to win a state championship.
Yeah, I'd say they got some momentum going for that game, which is huge. Get a stop here, get another shot, perhaps.
Armstrong on 3rd and short, hands the ball off to his running back. And so that'll be Carter Hacker on the call.
That's going to be tough for them to get another offensive snap, don't you think?
Just a couple as they move the chains and get a first down as the clock continues to wind inside of 4 minutes now.
So what do they have? Do you have the stats? Do they have 3 drives in the second half or 2?
Pendleton Heights or
Yes.
New Pal?
Pendleton Heights.
Pendleton Heights, that would be, I think they only had 2 drives so far here tonight. Both have resulted in touchdowns.
In the second half. And that's what happens when you get down 35-zip.
Hand off again to Jacobia this time, and he falls forward to the 35. So again, this will be New Palestine's 391st win in program history to 200 losses precisely, along with 2 ties back in the day.
And what is this number, 110 versus 10 defeats?
This will be 109 for Coach Kyle Ralph.
That is phenomenal.
As the Dragons will move to 5-0 on the season, but 109 wins in 10 seasons to 10 losses altogether.
Yeah, there'll be a movie. There'll be a movie about that one. It just doesn't happen.
Head coach Kyle Ralph in his 10th season played at St. Xavier in Cincinnati, a very preeminent football program in the high school ranks. Then he went on to play football in the ACC for North Carolina in the mid-2000s.
Well, he's been a phenomenal success around here. He had a couple of what people would consider bad years, and they were really good teams. They just had a Mount Vernon team that was loaded and had their chances. But other than that, New Pal, even watching them last year, I thought they were beautiful.
Kyle Ralph's worst season in his tenure at New Pal was last year when they went 8-4.
Yeah.
He has not had a losing season, as you see Brady Armstrong scamper across midfield for a first down and a lot more yardage as he gets pushed out of bounds at the 45.
Yeah, they won't get the ball again, but you do have to feel like it's a positive second half for them. Played well. Quarterback was really the spark plug, but they blocked well. These guys have not shown any signs of taking their foot off the pedal. They're well coached. They're disciplined kids. They just ran into a hell of a team tonight.
One thing that Coach Jed Richmond certainly loves to tout about his team is their maturity. He said earlier this week that he's seen so many of his players play with maturity, but just mature overall. And he says that they have a bunch of guys showing up to the weight room and getting speed and strength, just lots of dedication amongst this Pendleton Heights squad.
Well, that's what happened at Mount Vernon. They just kept coming, kept pounding, kept working in the weight room. Confidence grew, and they got the crown last year.
So as we tick inside of the final 40 seconds of this ball game, this will likely be the last offensive play of the game, as New Pal can just run this and then run the clock out as Brady Armstrong will get across the 35 before he's tackled backwards. But that should do it, as the clock will tick off the remaining 20 seconds, and the teams will meet at midfield. So New Palestine moving to 5-0 on the season, extending their lead in the Hoosier Heritage Conference. Meanwhile, the six-way tie for second is certainly going to be changed up here a little bit, pending the results of Delta's game as well as Greenfield Central and Yorktown. But bottom line is this: New Palestine gets the victory. Final score here once again, 42-14. Joe Polizzi, a pleasure working with you tonight, my friend.
My pleasure. It's great. You did a super job, and it's nothing but fun working with you.
Definitely hope to do it
we
again.
get another shot this year.
Hope to do it again soon, indeed. Once again, New Pal knocks off Pendleton Heights 42-14. Alongside Joe Polizzi, I'm Kurt Darling, saying so long till next time. You have been watching IHSAA football here on 9 Star TV. So long, everybody.